Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Carla. I don't know if that's worked there. Yeah, so good afternoon, everyone. My name is Carla. I'm a pediatric sleep consultant. My company is called Snooze Tots. I'm here for the next half an hour to just answer as many of your sleep questions as you've got. So fire away, type away, and we'll try and get through as many as we can. Whether it's your toddler sleep or your newborn sleep or your baby sleep, I'm here to answer as many as you questions as you have. So let's see, let's kick off. So while we wait, I'll just tell you a little bit about what I do. So I work one-to-one with lots of tired mums and dads, helping them to supporting them and making changes to their baby's sleep if they're having sleep issues. I also do workshops for Let's Talk Birth and Baby. So we do a newborn workshop and the 4 to 18 month workshops. And yeah, so hold on, here we go. Let's do some questions. Okay, so first question is, my little girl is 18 months and I'm ready for her to go into her own room. I was just wondering if you had any suggestions on best way to go about it. She still wakes asking for a bottle at night. Trying to get her out of this. Thanks. One Direction. So with this, so first of all, get her familiar with the room. If it's not familiar to her and you stick her in that room for the first time and she's not really been in there, she's going to be like, oh. So first thing you could do is lots of positive play in that room, so she's really familiar with it. Don't obviously in her cot space because that should be reserved for bed, for sleep, but in the space, so nappy changes. Lots of nice plays, put some lovely music on. So she really has this like really nice positive association with it. In terms of 18 months, unlikely she still needs a feed in the night. So it's probably more to do with comfort. So try and work on finding another way, so another settling approach that you should do at bedtime as well as when she wakes in the night, to see if you can get rid of that wake up and stop feeding her, if that's something you want to do. Which you said trying to get her out of this. So yeah, if she's kind of used to being in your room, use a really nice gradual approach. So look up gradual retreat, settling approach. So you stay in the room at the beginning and you gradually work on and give her some really nice hands-on settling and then just gradually work on doing less and less and moving yourself further and further out the room. Also just maybe also have a look if she's on 2 naps, maybe at this age, get her down to 1 nap. I don't know too much detail about what her schedule is. But yeah, so 1 nap a day around midday, 12:30. Okay, next question. My little boy is 1 week old and he will not sleep at night. During the day, he sleeps well in his Moses basket and is breastfed every 3 to 4 hours. However, when it gets late evening, he starts to get unsettled. He will cry most of the night, wants feeding every couple of hours, has quite bad wind and will only settle if we pick him up. But usually he will settle then about 5:30. How can I settle him at night? Because he's 1 week old, very normal. So what's going on here is probably that his day and night confusion is still apparent. Because if you think about it, when they are in your tummies, they're most active in the nighttime, and then in the daytime they're having most of their sleep. So he's continuing on this. So you really need to work on reversing that day and night confusion. It takes time. By 3 months, that's usually cleared up. But the best thing you can do is exposing him to lots of light in the day. And then as nighttime starts coming in, then make it nice and quiet and dim. So he starts recognizing the difference between night and day. Other thing is if he's having too much sleep in the day, he's then going to have been maxed out by it comes to night. So 1 week old, he might need about 6 to 7 hours in the day. If you go too far and give him too much sleep, he's going to then have taken most of the sleep and he's going to have a party in the evening. So that's what I would suggest you do. Also try and get him down every 45 minutes to an hour. He'll be tired by then. And that's how you can kind of have your day. About six naps as well across the day. That's how you can really structure your day. If you want to join, I've got a really lovely newborn session where I talked through loads of advice on settling newborns, how to create the perfect environment, things like that. So if you want to join that Let's Talk Birth and Baby Newborn workshop, will be perfect for you. But as you said, they're 1 week old. It will get easier. They're adapting to the new world, so just it will get better. Okay, other question. Our 7-day-old newborn doesn't like her swaddle, nor does she like sleeping with blankets. Do you have any other suggestions for her when she's in her cot? Should I try the sleeping bags? Think she likes her arms free. So a lot of babies like the swaddle because of that startle reflex. It keeps them all cozy and it stops them waking up as much because those arms flying in the air. If your baby just doesn't like the swaddle, then I would suggest, yes, get a sleeping bag, but just make sure the sleeping bag is the right size, that it doesn't, it can't go over their heads, just in terms of safety, so there's no risk of suffocation. So get a really nice one that fits perfectly. So yeah, I would suggest a sleeping bag if you're not going to use a swaddle. Next question. I'm wanting to transition my 7-month-old son from contact napping, he's breastfed to sleep, to napping in his crib. This is due to me soon going back to work and him being with a childminder. I'm all but certain he will initially nap far less time in his crib than he would do with me. And if this happens, I'll just go with it. But just wondering how to ease the transition in general and get his naps as long, productive as possible to minimise the impact on his night sleep and prevent him being overtired and cranky. So, with a 7-month-old, you're looking around 2 to 3 naps in the day. Now, while you're going through the process of teaching him to independently fall asleep, his naps might be short, because what the pattern usually is, once you start teaching him to settle himself independently, instead of contact napping and breastfeeding to sleep at night, if that's what you're wanting to achieve, which sounds like you are, you'll find usually nighttime sleep will improve first, and then the naps come into play once you've got a little bit more practice. So when you're going through the process, expect that naps will be short whilst he's learning to sleep, because what will happen is he's getting much better night sleep, and then naps will, because there's not as much sleep pressure in the day. So naps will be short at the beginning, but once he's learned the skill, those will lengthen. So if you find that he has really short naps all day, maybe just get him down a little bit earlier, that night, like half an hour earlier, to his normal bedtime. 7 months, work to around 2-hour 45 wake times to kind of with his naps, and between sleep and then waking up from a nap sleep and then his next nap and then bedtime, roughly around a 2-hour 45. Your child might need to go down by 2-hour 30, but that's just an average. Aim for about 3 to 3.5 hours sleep in the day at 7 months. So that's how you can kind of structure your day. But in terms of worrying about naps, aren't going to probably be long at the beginning whilst you go through the process, but they do get better, obviously. Okay, my 4-week-old is fine sleeping and calm during the day. When it comes to the evening, she's very fussy and won't settle all night. So as I said, Paige, I don't know if you were here, so I need to know a little bit more. So how much sleep is she getting in the day? Is she getting too much sleep? So I would max it at roughly 7 hours, very max. You might need to have about 6 hours sleep in the day, just to make sure then that she's taking better sleep at night. Try at 4 weeks old, try roughly around a 9 o'clock bedtime. Everyone's slightly different in the routine. And then try and not keep her awake between sleep longer than an hour. And have some really nice white noise on, and you can obviously you can do a mixture of contact naps and then also trying to settle her in her own space. A really, really gentle approach, something like have a look up shush pat. So you pat their bottom and you shush them, so she gets used to sleeping in her own space. You might find that she sleeps a little bit better if she's going down without always being on you, because when she wakes, that's what she's going to expect. So she's going to wake frequently wanting your assistance. But 4 weeks old, they're so tiddly-toddly, so try and get her some good sleep in the day, but not too much. Across roughly about 5 to 6 naps. You're looking at usually about 6 naps realistically, and that's how you can kind of structure your day. My 16-month-old is a brilliant sleeper and self-settles quickly to sleep. She's always slept in a sleeping bag, but recently she started undoing it herself and taking it off, which means putting her down to bed is becoming stressful as we keep going back in to see her and putting back on and contemplating moving to duvet to stop this. But I hear so many conflicting things about loose bedding and small children. What can I do? 16 months is a very young age to be moving them into a duvet. I tend to recommend about 3 years old or 2.5 when they're moving into a toddler bed. I would have a look and see if there's any sort of ones with zips that are in at more of a tricky angle for her to take off. It's quite difficult because it could be a phase, and once she might just stop doing it as well. So I would just persist with the sleeping bag for a little bit longer. I would be moving her to duvet that young. And also I would say if she does take it off and she's happy without it on, then I wouldn't worry about it. If she's got her pyjamas on and the room's warm enough, I wouldn't worry too much about it. If she's happy, just leave her to it. And I think it'll be a phase that she'll just stop doing soon. Nicola, my 1-year-old still wakes up twice a night for feed. Should I try to start weaning? She's breastfed. Your choice. 1-year-old, they don't, in terms of if there's no kind of health conditions, she doesn't need a feed. She's more than likely using that feed for comfort. So yeah, you can try to start responding to her by using try and settle her without the feed. So pick a settling approach you're comfortable with, and start trying to get her down without it. So she starts learning that if she wakes, that it's not the feed that's going to send her back to sleep. She'll start learning to do it herself. So you won't need to go in anymore and settle her. Also, I would suggest get a comforter. Comforters are really good if she doesn't already have one, Nicola, so that she's got something that will be like, especially at 1 year, can go through separation anxiety, etc., etc. So if she's got that comforter and she wakes, she can grab that and be comforted by that instead of needing you to feed her back to sleep. But yeah, use a settling approach. If you want to be in the room, you want to be in the room. If you don't want to be in the room, then you don't have to be in the room. There's loads of different approaches you can use. Just depends what your baby and what you're most comfortable with. My 19-month-old no longer wants a daytime nap. She normally has a one nap for 1 to 2 hours a day. She puts up a fight if we even try. Do I just let her drop the nap, or should I still be encouraging her to take it? Thank you. Hi, Claire. What time are you doing the daytime nap? They go through phases. If they're like developmentally, they might just start resisting it. I would keep offering it. It's very young to be giving up a nap. She'll probably most likely struggle. Usually around 2.5, they'll give up the nap. Earliest 2. So I would just keep persisting. She's probably more than likely to take it again. Even just if she just lies there in the dark and has a bit of chill time, it's better than being active all day. So a bit of chill time in the cot is better than nothing. So keep offering it, I would say. But also have a look at the timing as well. Just make sure that it's around 12:30. Ria, 8-month-old naps in his buggy in the day as won't sleep in his cot. He has 3 naps. He self-sets asleep in his cot at night, but wakes many, many times in the night and is usually awake any time from 5 a.m. So what I would work on is consistency across his whole day in terms of teaching him to self-settle at naps and bedtime. More than likely 8 months in, you could maybe look at moving him to 2 naps as well, and that will probably also help with the early wake up. So you're looking at roughly 2 naps, total day sleep maximum 3 hours. So you might want to split that 1 hour in the morning and 2 hours at lunchtime, or you might do 1.5 hours, 1.5 hours. Every baby's different how they like to take their naps. But yeah, really work on teaching him to self-settle for bedtime and all naps, and you'll find his sleep really improves. Because what will happen is you'll use that settling approach when he wakes in the night, so he learns to just put himself back to sleep, but also getting that schedule right as well. Having just 2 naps instead of 3 probably help too. So my little boy is 7.5 weeks old. He sleeps for 6 to 7 hours straight at night in his bedside crib, which is great. During the day, he sleeps on and off and would sleep for longer stretches of time if he lay on me. But if I put him down in his Moses basket, he will only sleep for 5 to 10 minutes. I don't know what to do because I love having snuggles with him, but should I be persistent with trying to get him to sleep elsewhere? This is a really personal thing. When they're so young, it's up to you whether you want to do contact sleep. He sounds like he's doing really well, 6 to 7 hours straight at night. It's up to you. If he's happy to go down, I would say if you're someone that wants to teach him to settle and be happy for being put down to sleep, I would persist. I would, if he wakes up at the 5 to 10 minutes mark, try and resettle him. Use a really nice gentle approach. So that could just be rubbing his chest and shushing him. It could be this, as I said earlier, that shush pat approach where you pat his bottom and shush him at the same time and get him back to sleep. Also, make sure that you're getting him down at the right time, because if you're keeping him up too late in the wake time, he's going to be overtired and he could wake up after 5 to 10 minutes. So aim for roughly 7 weeks. You're looking at roughly an hour 15 wake time. And then just make sure he's going down before getting overtired, because that will cause the short naps as well. But really up to you. If it was me, I would do a couple in the sling or the pram, and then try and do some in the cot, so he gets used to the difference between the crib and the having some contact ones. Just practice. It really takes. Okay, Katie, my 3-month-old has 4 8-ounce bottles a day and was sleeping through the night from 8 p.m. until 8, but has started really stirring at night. She seems frustrated, cries, but isn't awake. She has also started sleeping in her side. Well, for a long time, we've introduced a dream feed of 6 ounces just in case she was getting hungry, which has helped a little, but she is now stirring from 5 a.m. instead of between 12 and 2. She can self-settle for her naps and I'm going to bed, but I don't want her to associate me as her settling method in the night. Any advice? So it could be a few things. You said that she started rolling, did you say? No, she's stirring the night. So I would first of all try, if it depends on your schedule, but if it works to cover 8 p.m, you might want to try a little bit of an earlier bedtime. How much sleep is she getting in the day? So she's 3 months old. You're looking at roughly 4 hours sleep in the day. You're looking at, is she getting that? Because if she isn't, then if it's like, let's say she's only getting 3 hours, she might just be overtired, and that's causing more of the wake ups. So she can settle for naps and going to bed. So yeah, if she can settle for those naps, you can use a really nice gentle approach when she wakes in the night. But not all, because she could still be hungry. So I would say still offer a couple of feeds, but try and see if before you offer feed, see if she'll settle before offering it. So try for like 20 minutes and see if she settles. If she doesn't, then feed her, keep her awake through the feed, and then put her back down to sleep. Because if you can put her back down awake to sleep, to her bed, and let her put herself back to sleep, she's not relying on the feed to go back to sleep. So you kind of eliminate those wake ups that she was using the feed to go back to sleep. But yeah, I would just make sure her schedule's right. So 3 months, you're looking at about 4 naps, 4 hours maximum total day sleep across the 4 naps. But yeah, just make sure that she stays awake through all the feeds when you put her back down in the night, and that should also help. Sashi, hello. My 14-month-old has around 8 to 9 ounces of milk for bed time, and sometimes a bit of a biscuit, but he still wakes up to drink water 2 to 3 times during the night sometimes. Why do you think this happens? So what is your schedule? I need to know a little bit more detail about what's going on. Does he put himself to sleep fully? So he fully goes from awake in the cot to sleep. And then in terms of does he need water, he probably doesn't need water during the night. So I would try and use a settling approach to just try and get him back. So choose something that you're comfortable using, and try and get him back to sleep without using the water. But I'd also want to know his schedule as well. So if you want to type in his schedule, is he on 2 naps still? Or have you transitioned him to 1 nap? And also, does he know how to self-settle? Hi, my 8-month-old boy is still awake 2 or 3 times at night. Is it normal? What's normal in terms of if it works for you and you're happy with that, that's fine. If you're wanting to eliminate the wake ups, often at 8 months they can sleep through the night. They have the ability to. So if it's something you want to work on, you can do. Just make sure that they can put themselves to sleep for all sleep. And that his schedule's right. So 8 months, you're usually looking by then, often by at 2 naps, sometimes 3 if the naps are really short. But you're looking at around 3 hours sleep in the day to make sure he's not overtired at bedtime. So to stop the wake ups, I wouldn't give him too much more than 3 hours, and that could also cause wake ups. It really depends on how he's going to sleep. Because if he can go to sleep himself, you can work through all those wake-ups by teaching him to go back to sleep himself. Okay, Sashi, so here we go. Here's your answer. 14-month-old, 3 meals, 2 snacks, and I learned to walk. Takes 2 naps of roughly 1.5. There are times where he's up 5:30 to settle. No, I don't think it's hunger. It's probably more to do with if he's 14 months, I would think about transitioning him to 1 nap. Does he know how to put himself to sleep? If he doesn't, make sure he can do that. I would also look at maybe if he's waking really early in the night and he's waking in the night, transition him to 1 nap. You want to do that really gradually. So what you do is you move that morning nap a little bit later every few days by half an hour till you reach the 12:30 mark. And that, don't worry at the beginning, that lunchtime nap will be short often. They won't take that long 2-hour nap, but they will get there. And then just give them an early bedtime while going through the transition to 1 nap as well. That is probably what he is needing, and that will stop the early waking. But make sure that he knows how to self-settle at the same time. He needs to have both worked out. Hello, my 5-month wakes every 35 minutes from naps. Could set a clock on him. Is this okay? And how long should be awake for between naps? So 5 months old, you're looking at around 2 hours 15 between wake times. That morning one's often shorter, around 2 hours or even 1 hour 45. Watch for their sleep cues, get them down. But roughly you're looking at for the rest of the day about 2 hour 15 between sleep. In terms of total amount of sleep, you're aiming for around 3.5 hours sleep. Every kid's slightly different. In terms of he's waking every 35 minutes for naps, that sounds, so what's happening is he's going through a sleep cycle and he can't connect to the next one. If he starts learning to put himself to sleep, it will take practice. He'll start learning to connect sleep cycles. It just takes practice. And it's quite a nice age to start doing it. So yeah, you can learn, you can read up on a self-settling approach online. You can do a workshop with me on Let's Talk Birth and Baby, or you can you can just start teaching them yourself.